Hey yo, this is Brother Taj, and you're listening to my show, Hot Button, broadcasting live from the Dayton Street Opportunity Center here in wonderful Aurora, Colorado. It's another wonderful Friday evening. We're broadcasting on the DSOC Broadcast Network. You can hear us live right now on www.radio.daytonstreetoc.com and, of course, on www.radio.zrock. That's rock with just a K.org. So we're broadcasting live on both those joints right now. Want to welcome all listeners, all my viewers on my Facebook Live channel. Want to say what's up to everybody. Hope everybody's had a wonderful week. As always, I'm in the building with my man Z-Rock. Z-Rock, say what's up to the peoples, man. Right. There he is, bam. Yep, there he goes. Right. Always in the building. Z-Rock in the building. So mad shout out to the Dayton Street Opportunity Center. We actually have, like, right now, right behind me, you might be able to see just like a little glimpse over my shoulder, but we got like a full room of nursing students. Dayton Street Opportunity Center has a lot of classes. They host a lot of different events, especially those for working and occupations and training. So they got a big nursing course jumping off right now.
This year, 2018, they have the Dawn Clinic. The Dawn Clinic is a free clinic that will be offered 5 days a week starting this year.
Yeah.
At the Opportunity Center, 1445.
Yep, 1445 Dayton Street. Free clinic jumping off over here. So mad shout out to them for the programs and the opportunities they provide. Mad shout out for the opportunity they've given me to broadcast right here in their studio. So hope everybody had a great week. I had a great week. It's my birthday. My week after my birthday week. Sunday was my birthday. I turned a whole 28 years old, and I had a great time. I went, what did I do? Z-Rock, I went and got a manicure and a pedicure, yo. And it's the first one I ever had. And, you know, it was an interesting experience, to be quite honest. I'm not sure. Like, it wasn't like honestly, I didn't become like a new person after it. But it was interesting. I got the upgraded package. It was a gift. So, I got the upgraded package, and it was kind of, so they started on my nails and stuff, right? And, when you get your cuticles peeled back, that's not a very pleasant experience, to be quite honest. I'm going to be honest with you. And then they started on my feet, which I kind of, like, I got man feet. Like, it is what it is. I got a toenail that has, like, a blood clot under it, which is probably, like, standard for manly men. But I don't have calluses and I don't have bunions, but I got pretty, I kick people and things with my, mostly with my shins though, but they're manly feet. They're rough around the edges, and I could probably walk on fire with them joints. But old girl did a good job. Here's the thing though, like, I'm not generally ticklish, but I am ticklish on the bottom of my feet. And, like, that was kind of torture because old girl, like she just kept, like, hitting that spot on my feet where I was about to, like, kick her with my other foot. But did all that, and then, like, so she, I soaked my feet, and then she hit them with the file, and I didn't even look to see what was coming off them joints. But then, dude, the best thing about this was, like, the wax thing, because, like, she brought out these bags that looked like they had, like, hot oil treatment in it or whatever. So I was like, oh, what is she doing with those? And then she, like, put my foot in the bag, and I barely fit I wear a size 13, so my foot barely fit in them joints. And then I realized it was wax, but it felt good because it was hot. And then she put my hands in, so I'm, like, sitting there with my feet and hands in bags, and then she comes after a few minutes and takes them off, and it just peels right off. It was pretty dope. I thought that was pretty cool, and she did a good job of massaging. She did a great job massaging my calves and my shins, and so I had that upgraded package. Mass shout out to my homegirl Joy who hooked me up with that joint. Um, so it was pretty cool. Um, and then so I went from there, Z to I went to iFly, and so they have this joint down in Lone Tree, and iFly is an indoor skydiving thing. And look, I'm fearless. Like I'll try most things once. I mean, some things I just won't absolutely do, but not because I'm scared. I just ain't gonna do them. Like I'm not gonna eat a ham sandwich. But I went to iFly, and it was dope, man. Like I do intend to go skydiving. Like that's like on my definitely on my bucket list. And so I went to iFly, and so they have this big old tube. It's just a big ass tube with a big gigantic, clearly a gigantic like engine plane engine fan underneath it, and it shoots you up, shoots the air up into the tube, and so basically you get into this tube, and it's as if you're free falling. And it's pretty dope. There are people that are clearly like like the staff are clearly professional skydivers, because they were doing these amazing stunts, and the tube is not really that big, but they were just doing these amazing stunts. And then there was like this little girl, man. She must have been like maybe like 13, man. And she has her own little suit, because they give you suits and they give you a helmet. They give you like these goggles and give you earplugs. And but she came in with her own stuff, and she got in the tube, and she was doing all these stunts and flipping and all this kind of crazy stuff. But anyway, the little package that you pay for, you get to go in the tube like twice. So you go in with a group of people. They give you like a little tutorial. There's like hand signals that you learn real quickly, very simple stuff. And then you go in the tube. It's like probably about 7 or 8 of us. And then the you go in, you get to go in twice. It's only for a minute, but it feels like 5. And you get in there and you go, you kind of just kind of lean in, and then they have a person that's in there with you, and she kind of balances you, and you learn how to. The first time I went there is disastrous, because I was balanced okay, but eventually I just lost it, and I flipped over, and then I got to the point, and there's like this net, this tight net that's the floor, and I just like stood up, and that was apparently a no-no. She was like, no, don't ever stand up. Let me guide you. I was like, nah, lady, I'm standing up. So I mean, like I said, the tube wasn't that big, and I'm all of 6'5", so it was enough where it just kind of got goofy. But then the second time I go, and it was perfect, man. And then like your second time in the tube, they give you the option to like go high up in the tube, because you really only maybe about 3-4 feet off of the flooring in there anyway, and you're just kind of balancing and relaxing and kind of feeling like you're free falling. So the second time though, they take you, because you can go up and down, you can elevate, and they take you, like the person that's the guide, she just grabs you, and then you both free fall, and then you go whirling up in the tube. So I did that, and that was pretty dope. So so I did that. That was pretty cool. Had a great experience. I'm definitely go back, and I recommend it for anybody. There's nothing really scary about it. There's nothing really uncomfortable about it. I thought it was gonna be too much wind or whatever, but it wasn't really that bad, man. Then I went. What did I do? Because that was Sunday. So, oh yeah, I went to go see Bill Bellamy. I've been kind of hanging out with him all weekend. He was here all weekend doing shows over at the Improv in Northfield, and just at different little spots I ran into him, and of course he came to our spot down at Purple Martini and hung out. Really cool dude. Me, him, and the GMs. We kicked it for like almost like half an hour, man. Just kicking it. And then to just arrange some other stuff throughout the weekend. So dude is like really down to earth. I got mad respect. I think he's one of the funniest comedians, period. But just really a down to earth dude. Knows a lot of people here in Denver. Loves Denver, loves to come through, and you can feel it. Like you could feel like he had some sort of connection to the city and just wasn't, rolling through. So down to earth dude, funny as hell. Went to go see his show Sunday. He told me to, I, of course, pulled up in there, and the dude is funny, man. Like couple of the jokes, man, were just like hilarious, man. Like dude is like stupid, man. Of course, he had to talk about our weather, man, which was it was cold. It was probably about like so probably the Friday, Saturday shows were packed, but because that we had that snow that Saturday night into Sunday, it was maybe about 12 people up in that joint, but we all had like a really, really, really good time. And he just, the dude knucklehead. He had a couple other like opening comedians that were pretty cool. The MC was okay. Then they had another comedian on that was pretty fun himself. It was a good time, man. Then I went and finished up the night hanging at my spot. Well, of course, to the Purple Martini. Purple Martini is really the hottest spot in the city right now. So I hung out there for Sunday, and that was my birthday, man. Got some dope presents. Got a really just bought myself a present, but I did get a couple of dope presents. Got a new coat. Got my, I had this coat that I was really really dope because it was like a two-parter. It had like a liner that was also a coat. Ended up losing it when I went to the joint again. I went on some BS with the ex-wife, and one of them things I felt like I gotta claim. So somebody actually bought me a coat, the same exact type of coat, yo, and that was pretty dope. Of course, I bought myself them Gatorade Orange Jordans, the ones crispy, yo, crispy like a freshly peeled orange, yo. And then what else did I get? Somebody sent me. I got a edible arrangements joint. Somebody made me a cake, maybe some cookies. Oh, I got a terrible towel. A lot of you guys know a story about my terrible towel. I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan from way, way, way back. My daughter, Swaya, bought me a terrible towel. And again, with this BS with my lying ass ex, she took and probably pawned or I don't know. It's somewhere. Right? Ain't no telling where it is. Stuff. Actually, she kept my stuff and did whatever with it, and then said said she gave it to my brother-in-law, that my brother-in-law hates me and threw my stuff away. But that was a big ass lie. But that's kind of person she is. But was really sad about losing my terrible towel, and I got a new. Somebody got me that joint, so I'm very, very grateful about that. So I had a pretty good birthday. I mean, it's a Monday. 48 is kind of like a mundane number, right? Like, nobody believes I'm 48, nor should they. I'm really 28. But so it's kind of like 49 will probably be like the big one. 49 would probably be the big one for me. I ain't celebrating my 50th though, that's for sure. But anyway, shout out to everybody, all my friends, family, everybody who left me messages. Of course, a lot of messages on Facebook, but I had really a lot of people, man, who just called me up and text messaged me. A lot of people out of the blue. A lot of my teammates when I was at. It was funny when I was at Saturday night when I was over at Purple Martini. A bunch of my guys from Edge came through, man. Just come through and give me birthday wishes, man. That was pretty dope, man. Shout out to Corey and shout out to Simeon, man. It was good seeing you guys, man. So really appreciate all the birthday wishes and love. My first birthday since like 2012, man, that I was even running the brick. So I reclaim. This is my reclaiming my time year. Like 2017 was like get back, get on your feet, start putting things together. 2018 is when really stuff really starts to launch for me. So I've just really been grateful. I've had ridiculous, unexpected, and really undeserved support from so many people, friends, family. colleagues, teammates, just unwavering, man. People on my return home, no judgments, welcome me back on open arms. I had ridiculous amounts of opportunity, and I'm just really, really, really blessed and absolutely grateful. I cannot be grateful enough. I always have to remind myself because as human beings, we're forgetful. You know, in Arabic, in the Quran, you know, we as Muslims, we end up learning a modicum amount of Arabic. And it's interesting when you read the Quran and God refers to man, and then you learn the Arabic word that he refers to man. The word that he refers to man most of the time, because there are various words that he uses, but the most of the time he refers to man as or mankind as anas, like the singer or the rapper. I mean nas. So this word nas is generally what we understand to mean human beings or mankind. But like I'm into etymology and linguistics and all that stuff. So if you study learn about the word nas in Arabic, it doesn't actually mean man. It means literally forgetful. So it's interesting and ironic, and it's not a pejorative. It's not like an insult that God's using, but it's an acknowledgement that as people, we're very forgetful. I know personally, I can speak for myself personally, I don't always remember the blessings. You cannot count the blessings that God gives you, but there are so many people in my life who just have uplifted me. A lot of my sisters, especially, man. You know, I went down for false domestic violence charges. So the fact that most of the people just really got my back have been women is something that is not lost on me. Accused of domestic violence, and we see that with the Me Too. If you're accused of any type of violence or abuse towards women, you're pretty much over. That's the backlash from, I think, rightful, it's righteous backlash. As men, we've just done a lot of BS a long time, and now we're bubbling over. It's not bubbling over; it's exploding like a volcano. And I'm acutely aware that even though charges against me were false and perpetrated by crazy ass, lying ass, narcissistic, sociopathic ex-wife, and I'm not saying that lightly. I'm saying that actually, that it still carries with it a stigma. It's going to carry a backlash, and I've got some backlash from it. Obviously from people who support her like that, but in reality, I've just had an enormous amount of support. None of the backlash, none of the eyes, none of the judgments have really adversely affected me, and it's mostly because of women, life, and just purification of my backbone. So that is something that is not lost. So anyway, a lot of stuff to talk about other than my birthday and my rants and raves about my crazy ex. Speaking, I want to plug because I talked about my Edge teammates. Want to do a quick plug of Grappler's Edge. That's not even Grappler's Edge. It's actually Edge MMA, but I want to do a quick plug for them because I've been doing a lot of training and kind of teaching and work some workout stuff with especially a lot of the sisters. But I want to plug both the spots that I work at because they're both doing big things. Edge has grown. They have a wonderful program from kids classes to mixed classes to yoga to workout and fitness joints, just top to bottom, man. So you can actually, it used to be called Grappler's Edge. You can actually still find them on Grappler's Edge website, but it is Edge MMA, run by my man, owned by my man and my sensei and my teacher and mentor, Sheldon Marr, and run by his son Nick. Check them out, Edge MMA. You can go online, you can go on Facebook and check out their page. They got a lot of package deals, especially for the new going on. So check them out. And also want to give a mad shout out to my teammate, colleague, brother, and pain in my ass, Lamont Sayers, who runs Sayers Citywide MMA and Fitness, and also the Heavy Hands, Heavy Heart community center that's actually attached to the actual fitness center. Doing a lot of big things over there. There's a Zumba class for you sisters that's being run on, forget the day, Tuesday, Thursday, and also Saturdays. It's $5 a class. So you can drop in and get your little boogie on. There's a crazy fight team that's being put together. Guys that are like heavy hitters and really getting their training in. The best days are Monday, Wednesday, Thursday over there. Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. Check out the schedule. The Edge schedule is ridiculous. From, I mean, top to bottom, there's everything that's being offered. Both places are moderately priced, so it's not going to break your bank, and you can get a great workout, get in shape, and if you actually want to learn to do something with it, you can do something with it. So, shout out to both the joints there. Gotta shout out my clubs. I'm the head of security, doorman, ass whooper over at Purple Martini. That's my spot. It is the hottest spot in the city right now. Let me tell you how hot it is, yo. We were right next to a door to a club called Mint. Some of y'all remember this, and that place had to shut down. And had to shut down, and then my peoples who run Purple Martini just bought Mint. So now and we turned it into another nightclub. So technically there's two nightclub back-to-backs, but or side by side actually. And it's just, a dope spot. Come through. Best days, I'm gonna tell you right now, the hidden gem about Purple Martini is Thursdays and Sundays. But if you come Fridays, Saturdays, it's packed, so come early. And look, I'm gonna tell you this right now. I'm gonna tell you, and you pass the word. We've been like really slowly but surely like putting in place a dress code. And the downtown area, when it had like the hip hop sort of bass clubs or the black club or however you want, the urban clubs, there's a sort of a bad taste in my mouth about downtown, because what ended up happening is because of a lot of the pressures, because of all the people being there and a lot of the fights that happened in the streets and the alleys, the city doesn't want that type of music. And when I say type of music, I'm really saying type of people. And when I say type of people, you know what that's code for. So they don't want that downtown. And so we've had to, so one of the things that happened, especially like when there were clubs like 24K and Chloe and all that, was if the door people running the door, they were turning away people. And really it was kind of, the backlash on it was that it was racist, that they weren't letting the brothers and the sisters in, and they were just letting, white people and people that looked like they had money in and blah, 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 blah. And it became, kind of the, when the other clubs were jumping off, it was like, we're going over here because you can't go downtown because they don't want the Negroes downtown. Let me tell you something. Because I'm hearing a little bit about that in terms of Purple Martini, just a little bit, not like the other spots or the old school spots that are no longer open. We have a dress code, and we've been slowly but surely enforcing it. And I want to share with you my philosophy, because I'm the door guy, and I'm the one that's ground zero for this. Here's my philosophy. I believe that if you go to any club, especially a club that I'm working at, that you are going to come and have a good time and then go home safely and then get up and go to work or do whatever. Okay. That's my ultimate goal. I don't go to clubs. I don't drink. I don't smoke weed. I don't do any of that stuff. And I feel like as a security person, my job is to ensure your safety. Period. I don't have any judgments about people drinking and doing whatever. My bottom line is to make sure that people are safe. And I've been doing this for a while. I think I'm one of the best in the business because I've been doing it for a while, and I handle myself professionally, and I try to stay out of the bullshit. I don't believe in being a goon. I can whoop ass, but I don't believe in doing that. I think there's no sense in doing that. We have a dress code, people. My philosophy is this. If you go to a club, you should dress up. And the women do this more so than the men, of course. You dress up, you put on your nice stuff, and you go to the club. I believe in that. And I believe that if you dress nice and it creates an environment, and you don't want to come to the club and get into a bunch of fights and have all kinds of drama and, run into your baby's mama or your baby's daddy and start all that type of stuff. None of that flies. So it begins really when you walk in the door, right? So I feel like if you like have on clothes that you went threw on to go shopping at Walgreens, or you just came from like 24-hour fitness, like those type of clothes you should not wear to the club. It's just that's just my thing, yo. I know not everybody agrees, and not every club is like that. Um, but I feel like, especially because it's downtown and it's a good time and it's, sort of high end, hotty toddy, bougie, or whatever you want to call it, it is what it is. That is exactly what it is. And my thing is, it's not a thing, it's not a black or a white thing to put on a button up, to put on jeans that are not 5X when you really are XL, to not be, it just it's not a white or black thing. I had a brother at the door. I turned him away because he had a hoodie on, and he was mad because he was like, "Oh, this is just to keep the black people out." And I'm like, "Man, look over my shoulder in the club. It ain't nothing but black and Latinos and maybe 4 white people in there." So what are you talking about? It's not racist for me to say, "Hey, like come a little bit more dressed." I mean, it's just that's not racist. It's not racist when you put on your Sunday finery to go to church, or when you put on your Friday finery to go to the mosque, or your Saturday finery to go to the synagogue. That's not racist. It's just an idea about how you present yourself, period. And you're not going to tell me, because I'm blacker than black, you're not going to tell me that it's racist when I'm at the door and I say, "Yo, you can't come in with the holes in your jeans that are 5X dragging on the floor, and the t-shirt that you really actually did get from Walgreens." Nah, like go. And I'm not saying go away and don't ever come back. My thing is go home, change, and then come back. That's all. It's just really that simple. So I'm saying all that to say that's what we're doing over at Purple Martini. I'm already ratcheting it up. It's gonna be some really disappointed people this weekend, um, because they're gonna be sent home. But I'm saying that now. Pass the word. We're not. It's a dress code. We're not playing. Period. We're not playing, yo. We're trying to make this club not just classy. I don't want to say it's a classy club. If you come, it's gonna be classy. Period. But we want to make it like really nice. We want to create an expectation that you're not coming into a mosh pit or a Thunderdome. You're coming to enjoy yourself and have a good time. We got people from all walks of life, and they're all welcome. We got ball players, we got ballers, and we got people that work at McDonald's. And every one of you is welcome. Just make sure you're not dressed like, again, you just mowed the lawn. Just that simple. All right. So that was my rant for today. Yo, so the big thing in the news, hold on, let me just go down my list real quick on my Facebook Live, man. Say what's up to everybody, man. Oscar, what's going on? Hey, shout out to my man, Oscar Del Cid, who is enrolled in the Army, right? Your Army. And one of my guys that I've trained with fighting just won an MMA match too, man. And just it's really good to see this young man grow up and grow into his own. What's up, Casey? Tarek, my man, Big T. Hey, man, I'm trying. What time is it? Oh, yeah, anyway, my man Big T is probably at the gym right now, trying to get in shape. So I'll go beat him up. Not today. Definitely sometime over. Either what's up, mama? Oscar, hey, be safe over there wherever you're going. Get your training in, come back, man. Appreciate your service as well. Umar, my brother's watching. So link him out. Walaikum salam. What's going on? Him and my sister probably watching. Kareem, what's up? Omar, salam alaikum. Jen, what's up, mama? My man Chuck Teasy in the building. Bobby's watching. What's up, boo? Who's that? Ricky, what's going on? Yeah, the paraffin wax. Yeah, Jen. Hey, that's the thing right there. That's it. I guess that's part of the upgrade, but I'm glad I had that joint, man. Man. I was happy for that. Let's see. Yusha, Assalamu alaikum, Samaya, Assalamu alaikum, Elias. Who else is Aliyah? What's going on, sis? Assalamu alaikum. Anissa, my little sis, is watching. I've known you for 20 years, so I believe you that young. Yeah. Madonna, what's up, sis? AP, what's up, fam? AP in the building, one of the GMs over at Purple Martini. I love you too, Jen. Riyadh, Assalamu alaikum. Brian, what's up, famo? Ain't seen you, man. What's going on? We got to link up because I definitely got to come and get some hands going on, man. So let's try to do that. Definitely this weekend. I think I'll check my work schedule, but I think Madonna, the link for Zumba. If you go on, hell, just hit up Lumumba Sayers. But I'll try to post it. And so after the show, I'll hit you up and get you the hookup, okay? David, salam alaikum. Hussein, salam alaikum. Tony, what's up, fam? And there's Ann. What's up, Addie? Hey, I hope you're feeling good. You got some Tylenol in your system. And put in some work just recently on the bags and things. Looking good. Looking good. Make sure you're shadow boxing too, yo. Don't forget. All right, let's talk about the big thing. One of the big things that was in the news lately is this Larry Nassar issue. So as most of you guys know, I'm sure everybody knows, Larry Nassar just got 175 years in prison for sexually abusing women over, man, ain't no telling, a couple of decades, man. The last, there was one sister that I heard who had initially complained about this dude 2 decades ago, and it was ironic because they had listened. She was like 19 people on this news show, and it was like if they had listened to her, then the other 18 would not have actually even been abused. So, but he got 175 years for that, and now there's like fallout. The Michigan State, one of the heads of Michigan State had to step down. The whole Olympic gymnast program is being dismantled, decertified. The Karoli, the Karoli gym, or like they have some compound that's out in the mountains, and it's like the perennial place to train, and that joint is being being sort of shunned now, and that's it big because the Karoli, the couple, I can't remember the guy's first name, but him and his wife, who've been the backbone of the U.S. gymnast program, they're feeling the backlash, yo. I was trying to think about what thoughts I had about it. 175 years for molestation. I don't really have I don't have any sympathy for the dude. To be quite honest, the stuff that he was doing is pretty effed up, and he's been doing it for a long. Here's my issue, I guess, with it. This dude had been doing this for a long time, and it just in order to be doing it, in order to be doing this for so long, there has to be 2 things. There has to be a culture. There has to be a culture of silence, and there has to be a culture of complicity. Okay, that's where, and this is something. This is not just singular to this situation. It seems to be the case almost in general, right? When we're dealing with these issues of abuse, rape, domestic violence, that pretty much the violence comes with complicity and it comes with silence, right? And all those things conspire to perpetuate this. If somebody was complaining about this person 20 years ago, nobody listened, and they covered it up. The Michigan State University is accused of covering up because surely they've heard about, over the last 20 years, they've heard different complaints about this guy. And it seems like just one after another. I mean, there were 160 some women, 165, I think it was, Z-Rock, 165 women who complained about this guy. That's a lot of people, period, for anything. 165 is a lot of people. But 165 people who are complaining about being molested, being assaulted by a doctor is absurd. I like the fact that most of them got a chance to voice, even though they weren't even part of the case necessarily that was against them. They got a chance to speak out in court. And I don't have a problem with the way that the judge, some people actually had a problem with the way that the judge was clowning dude, man. I think she told dude, I wouldn't send my dog to you. I wouldn't send my dog to get examined by you. I don't have apparently she pulled a Judge Judy on steroids and clowning this dude. I don't have necessarily a problem with that. Huh? Yeah, that's why Judge Judy is Judge Judy. But the fallout is going to be interesting because the United States has a wonderful gymnastics program, a championship level gymnastic program, and it broke my heart to see somebody like especially somebody like Simone Biles was victimized by this dude. It's heartbreaking to me. But Z-Rock, we've seen it before, right? Like we've seen this before. It's always an issue of, and I'm glad with this, like I said, 2017, 2018 has been a year of, comeuppance or getting like dragged now for the stuff that they've done. And there's still a few people that need to have, like for me, the big person is like, it's really two people, like my ex, because she's abusive and kind of and pedophile-ish, and but the big one, the one that's big on my radar is R. Kelly, man. I'm tired of this Negro. And I'm not just so much tired of him. I'm tired of us, yo. I'm tired of us saying that this Negro gets a pass because he sings good. You know what I mean? Or somehow, whatever. There's a lot of cultural black crap that goes with giving people passes. Like, he's black and subject to racism and oppression. Therefore, it's okay if he screws little girls because he's just, he's a product of the racist slave origined culture of America. And I really just get tired of that, man. I know we're messed up as a people. We're dealing with scars and we're dealing with trauma and PTSD. And that's real. That's a real thing. I get that. But that doesn't mean that you're not accountable. Being enslaved and oppressed and being discriminated against is not an excuse to go and have sex with little girls. It ain't. And we should be the first people. I'm like this, man. I shouldn't have to call the police, right? Like if somebody molests my daughter, I'm not calling the police, man. Honestly, you abuse my daughter, you're going to have to call the police. like that's how we should be. We should be self-policing. That's my main problem. We're not. We let people get away with stuff. We let ourselves get away with victimizing ourselves because we don't love ourselves, man. We don't value who we are as a people. So it's easy for me to victimize you. I mean, who do we sell crack to, yo? And then celebrate it, when we come out on top. So this idea, this blanket of silence, this blanket of complicity, I see it unraveling, especially in this case, because like I don't have a problem that the American Olympic gymnast program is being dismantled because it has had success on the backs of abusers. There's these girls who come in, they're breaking their ankles, they're breaking their legs, they're going through all kinds of trauma, psychological trauma to stay in shape, to stay skinny, to look a certain way, all of this pressure to perform and get gold medals and being chewed up and spit out, and along the way they're getting penetrated by fingers of doctors, and it's all bad. So I don't have a problem that it's being dismantled. It should be, because that's the price that we have to pay for a gold medal. It's not worth it to me. The price for a gold medal is not, you know, the virginity of a little girl. Same way the price of an album, or to hear somebody say that they think they can fly, is not worth it to me if the price of it is seeing a girl getting peed on. It's not. There's no. And I don't know what this girl's father is thinking, man, because they, but that's, that's the whole, that's my biggest pet peeve about that. You gotta stop this. So I appreciate that stuff's unraveling, man. People getting fired, people asking to get, step aside. They're stepping down. I think the head of MSU, she's been part of MSU for like 40 years. Oh well, I holler. Like, I don't have I'll see you, and I hope I don't see you somewhere else doing the same thing. Got to stop this issue of complicity, and that's kind of the one thing that really has stuck out for me past couple of days, and really from a personal standpoint. Like when we watch people be abusive, we watch people rob people, and then we make excuses for them, right? Like, I see that in my own life, especially like with my ex. Like she's just abused and stolen from and preyed upon person after person. And so that's one thing. It's like she's, it's like you need to be held accountable, and she gotta be stopped. But the biggest problem that's under the radar is how many people are so complicit. I call them like flying monkeys. But it's not that they're, even that's not a good term, because it implies that there's no responsibility. But these people are complicit, right? These people who covered up Larry Nassar's behavior, who ignored the complaints, who said, that's not really what's happening, these are people, the whole program, from the Karolis to the school, all of these people are complicit to the abuse of other people. They may not have said anything. They may have let it go over their head, or one ear out the other, or they didn't investigate it, or they somehow talked to this dude and got like swayed by him. They are just as guilty as the doctor. When my ex stole a house, right? Like, this one Negro was like running around, like, and the story broke, and it came out that she had been doing this type of stuff, stealing people, forging her mom's name to get fake titties, all of this stuff. This one Negro had the audacity to be like, oh, that one arrest wasn't her. It was some other person with a similar name. And I'm like, not only are you like an idiot, and not only is what you're saying not true, but do you not realize that you are actually complicit in this by going out saying this type of stuff? When you defend somebody who is clearly a criminal, whether they admit it or not, Larry Nassar doesn't have to admit that he did anything, right? The evidence is just overwhelming. And we don't have to make judgments about it. I'm sure that just because R. Kelly wasn't convicted, that he peed on that little girl. You don't have to be convicted. I'm sure George Zimmerman is a murderer, even though he wasn't convicted. So we don't need to have a conviction in court. People are there to have an idea of guilt. And when you support these people, when you bid for the gun that shot Trayvon Martin, when you go to Dominique Christina's poetry readings and laud her and buy her books, when you buy an R. Kelly record, when you send your girl to Larry Nassar's doctor's office, you are complicit in this. You're complicit. And we got to stop doing this. We got to start taking ownership in this stuff, man, and start pulling these people down, start holding them accountable, and stop being punks, because we're like scared, man. Like, what is so scary about Larry Nassar? What is so scary about R. Kelly, yo? Like, what is so scary about Dominique? There's nothing scary about these people. They are cowards, yo. They're cowards that cover themselves up in charisma and creativity, and they themselves are just balls of fear and stupidity. And we got to stop putting these people on pedestals, man. We got to stop it. Um, I know for one, I ain't that person, yo. I'm gonna call it out. I'm gonna call it out. People told me, be quiet about your ex-wife. She's after you. There's a conspiracy. They're coming for you. People don't scare me, man. People don't scare me, yo. And I'm still standing, yo. I'm still standing. And we gotta stop that, man. We gotta stop this allowance of self-victimization. And it looks like, look, Z-Rock, it looks like it's happening. People are getting tore down, yo. Look at what's going on with the Oscars, and you know, people are not, you know, being able to what's that? Casey Affleck is not going to be able to present. You know, and I feel on one hand there's this, you know, a lot of men are like, oh man, if I get accused, my whole life is over. I get that, and there are people who are liars. Hell, my ex-wife is one of them who will say that they are victimized, and they are straight lying. Half the stuff that my ex says that she was victimized by and when is a straight up lie. And so there is that fear, and it's rightly so, that somebody will lie. I went to prison behind that very thing. But it doesn't mean, like, I'm clear that even though I was falsely accused of abuse happens. It happens way too often. It has happened way too systematically. And at some point, something's got to give. And this is what happens. I'm sure that the BS I went through is part of the backlash that we have done collectively as men. And at some point, after the witch hunts and after the Weinstein effect dies down, we need to have some real conversations and real strategies to avoid this in the long run, and avoid this from happening again. We got to start talking to our sons, yo. We got to start talking to our sons and our daughters about some of the systematic stuff that the expectations that we create just in society in and of itself. We got to really start, you know, having a conversation about that, and having real conversations, and stop being punks about just even having the conversation. Go back down and give shout outs to my line again. Let's see. Abdul Malik, something like I'm out. Larisha, what's up, sis? Good to see you. Yeah. Athor, assalamu alaikum, sis. Let's see what Sister Carol, big sis. Thank you for putting it. Yeah, I mean, we gotta start somewhere, man. I feel, look, I'm of the philosophy that all of us, we share complaints and we share ideas and we share solutions, and we talk about it. But at some point, we got to be like ground zero. So I told myself before I even got out of prison, I'm gonna start with myself, hold myself accountable, and speak out about the things. You know, there's a wonderful verse in the Quran that says, be the first to stand out for justice, even if it's against yourself, whether it's yourself as individuals or yourself collectively, yourselves in a collective sense. That's the reality of being of justice and being just, is that it's not one-sided, it's not convenient, and it's not exploitative. And so I that's my pledge. I told myself I was going to shift my paradigm, all about paradigm shifts, and I'm going to start with myself. That there, and that's why I got this show, and that's why I'm going to take a break real quick so I can regenerate the spit in my mouth. So we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back. You're listening to Hot Button on the DSOC Broadcast Network. On behalf of myself and me and Z-Rock, hang in there. We'll be right back. All right, hey, this is Brother Taj. You are again listening to Hot Button, my radio show, broadcast on the DSOC Broadcast Network. We're broadcasting live right here at the Dayton Street Opportunity Center on 14th and Dayton in wonderful Aurora, Colorado. I'm broadcasting on www.radio.DaytonStreetOC.com and www.radio.zrock, that's rock with a K.org. I want to give a shout out to everybody that's listening, and viewing. So, let's talk real quick about your president. Not a whole lot, the big thing is he's kind of dealing with some fallout lately. It came out that he tried to get Robert Mueller fired. And then because it came out, and not so much that that he tried to get him fired, but the fact that he failed because his White House counsel was like, if you do that, I'm quitting. And so it made him like back down, which I'm not surprised. But the fact that that news has come out is the problem that your president has. But that's really about it. It's not. I mean, he's kind of done the regular BS to get in the news and keep himself out there promoting and stuff. But I wanted to talk real briefly about the Girther conspiracy. Because, okay, so when he had his physical, right, it came out that dude was like, it came out that he was 6'3"? That he was 6'3" and like 230, 36, 39 pounds or whatever. So 230, almost 240. Okay. And so the idea is like when you see him in comparison to other people who were, first of all, 6'3", and other people that are around 240 pounds, the idea is something ain't right with his height and weight claim, right? And I don't know, is he? I don't know, man. I'm trying to okay, I'm 6'5", so I haven't seen him up close. I don't know if he's that tall for real, and that's just an exaggeration. But I do know this: if he's 6'3" and 236 pounds, he's one of two things. He is an NFL linebacker, right? Or he's a fat boy. Like, you either are an athlete, an MMA fighter, or you are a fat ass couch potato. Those are the two generally, there's not really a whole lot in between, right? It's generally one of those extremes. And I am hesitant to characterize the president as an athletic football MMA type guy. Call it the Obama effect. I mean, there's still an Obama effect. I was spoiled by the fact of having a president who was active. Clinton was kind of active. He would go jogging, but we knew he was jogging to McDonald's. He wasn't like the bastion of health. And we all had, before that, we had, people like Bush and Reagan. Reagan was old and going through Alzheimer's, and Bush was, Bush seemed like he looked a little physically fit, but he was an old dude, and his wife looked like the Quaker Oats person. So that they weren't really like the, wasn't the bastion of fitness. It seemed like the whole president's, that whole the presidential fitness thing, it was run by Arnold Schwarzenegger, because you couldn't really put the president there to run it. It didn't look right. But with with Barack and Michelle, like it was just like, man, like they really like when you have the presidential fitness thing, whatever that thing is, you could actually see Barack running it, or in a lot of cases, Michelle herself, and it made sense. They didn't have to have any stand-ins. You know what I'm saying? So I was spoiled by that, man. To have watch the president hoop and hoop okay. He's an okay player. But if you look at some of the games, he trash talks and he, puts, he'll cross somebody up, and it was nice to see that, man, because we're used to presidents that just, they didn't do any get blowjobs in the Oval Office. But now we're kind of back to the old fat ass lazy president. Like I haven't seen, like, have you seen the president do anything athletically at all? I remember this was so funny. Sean Hannity was so hung up on Barack Obama's fitness that he would like compare himself to Barack. And this fool one day like did a show where he was like, "Oh, I'm training with Chuck Liddell. Look, I'm more healthier than the president." And I'm like, is it really? Does it bother you that much? And then he showed himself like with Chuck, but he was like with a big sweatshirt on because he was hiding the fact that he had a beer belly. You know what I'm saying? Like it was like, you fat ass. Like, and so now we're like back to that with Trump, and it's really ironic and funny that this idea that he's 6'3" and 236 is like people are raising their eyebrows. Like he might not really be that big, or maybe he's bigger. Like he might be 312 pounds, but he's not. I mean, he's not. He's kind of built funny. He's built like a potato. And
Couch potato.
yeah, the only thing really that's athletic that he does is play golf. And I say that facetiously. I say golf and athletic. But that's just me, man. But I find that pretty ironic. What's going on? Assalamu alaikum, Amber, what's going on? Robin, what's up, famo? Tyra, assalamu alaikum. Adrian, what's up, famo? Speaking of Adrian, I got two things I want to talk about today, real quick. That Adrian, I've been inspired by my nephew, Adrian Jones, to talk about. The first thing is something I promised to talk about weeks ago, and that was Japanese. He brought up about Japanese slavery, and the interesting thing about this, Adrian. So we're gonna talk a little history. I love history. I'm a history buff, and I love historical things and the hidden history of things. So we're gonna go into our little history segment, and we're gonna talk about a little bit about American history, and we're gonna talk about Chinese, Oriental, mostly Chinese. We're gonna talk about Chinese immigration. Now, from the standpoint of slavery, and so mostly we were talking about like women, right? And the interesting thing I found out about this when I actually researched this a long, I was into my like Chinese Oriental fascination phase, especially as I was training martial arts and stuff. So like the massage parlors are pretty much known as like the bastion of slavery for Oriental women, right? The whole happy ending and me love you long time type of stuff. That's where a lot. No, that's more Vietnam stuff. But the bastion of like where women who are especially Oriental, mostly Chinese, Japanese, and also Korean, when they come and they are traded around, it's the massage parlors is kind of ground zero for that. But from a numerical standpoint, here's what's interesting. There are not a lot. There were not a lot from a percentage standpoint. A lot of Oriental women really enslaved. They're high percentage wise, but number wise, not a lot because they actually didn't come. There were a lot of women. So when we're talking about immigration, because they got to come here first. Most of the time, I would say out of 10 people, 8 of them were men. Women generally didn't come. And this is different than other ethnicities where women were almost equal in numbers. When the men came, they brought their families and things like that. But Chinese, especially Chinese men, didn't bring their women. It was considered like a taboo. They were coming to work, and so someone had to stay and take care of, especially the kids. And so the idea of bringing women was something that was actually shunned a lot amongst the Chinese. But one of the things that I thought was interesting, and this is what I wanted to bring up, and I kind of brought this about when I talked about bird shit islands or the bat shit islands. Technically, the word is guano islands. Is so there were these islands, especially in the Pacific, that from a historical for a long time were home to birds, which, a bird does two things: three things: eat and crap, right? Eat crap and have other birds. That's their job, like babies, right? And that over the course of centuries, many of these islands, seagulls, things like that, especially seafaring birds, their crap built up on these islands to the point where it was like 50 feet in height. It's nothing but bird shit, right? And there are many, 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 many islands like this. And so that's why they're called the guano, because the word guano, most people understand it's like that's bat shit. But technically, even bird shit, especially seafaring birds, seagulls, albatrosses, things like that, their crap is called guano as well. So you have these islands that are just full and full of guano. Sweet potato. That's a good one. That's a good one. Robin said Trump's body looks like a sweet potato. that's a good one. So there's these islands that are full of bird crap. Now, there was a point in history where, from an agricultural standpoint, people began to understand, especially when when Europe expanded into the West and into the Americas. One of the first things they learned was about fertilizer, and then so that was like revolutionary. Like when they understood that bird shit was great fertilizer because of the high nitrogen content, then they wanted more bird shit. And then they discovered these islands that were full of nothing but bird shit, right? And so these islands became like gold mines. Now, here's what's interesting. In the West, you needed somebody to go to the islands and basically just dig it, just cut it, pickaxe it, and then have it being shuttled to a ship. Almost, especially like you had it to where the stuff was so high, you just anchored the ship, ran a little ramp, and then the shit would just literally, bird shit would roll downhill into boats by the boatloads, and then it would be carted to Europe, it would be carted to the Americas, and more cotton would be growing, and it could entrench in slavery. We could entrench slavery, and you could grow potatoes in Ireland, right? That's what happened. It became revolutionary. So much so, these islands became so valuable that the United States passed laws, Guano Island Acts. So there are actual legalized legislative enactments by Congress on bird shit, where it literally said that any person, any American could claim any of the islands for the United States. Literally go plant the Stars and Stripes on a bird shit island, and then the United States would be compelled to provide protection and for that. So if you went out there and you found an island full of bird shit, you could be like, look, I'm claiming this joint for the United States, and if you got into a dispute, especially with another country, United States would send out their navy for your little bird shit island. That's how valuable this stuff was for us. And we were like, and so there are a lot of places that we have under our auspices that are just floating islands of bird shit. And there were a couple of times where we got into, and here's one country, and here's the irony of it. One of the countries that we had a slight conflict with over a bird shit island because this island was closer to the country than it was to the United States, and we went and said, you know what, we're taking it over, and we don't give a damn what you say. It was Haiti. One of the early conflicts over the bird shit legislation was with Haiti, and you know what? We sent a big ass boat with guns, and we said, if you really want to have a problem over this shitty ass island, let's have a problem. And Haiti was like, nah, that's all right.
And Trump.
Yeah. So you want to talk about shitholes? We fought. Ironically, we fought Haiti over a shithole, or a literal shithole. We fought them and backed them down, and then we had Trump make this ironic comment about shithole countries. Isn't that funny? But where this ties in with the Chinese is this. Who do you think is going to be sent to the islands to cut up, put in wheelbarrows, a whole bunch of bird shit? If you say slaves, you're slightly correct. But if you think black slaves, you're absolutely wrong, because black slaves were too valuable. Look, you get on an island full of bird shit, you're going to breathe that shit in, you're going to die, right? And you're needed to pick sugarcane, cut sugarcane and cotton in tropical areas where other people of lighter skin color and fairer complexion cannot go because they die of malaria. And so the places like the islands of South Carolina, down south where malaria was rampant, because remember, down south was mostly swamp, and swamp land is mosquito land, and mosquito land is malaria land. So we gotta have black people in these areas. We gotta have black people in these areas, so they're much more valuable. And remember, they're property. I mean, black people are not people; they're property. So which is interesting, because think about today. We hold our property much more important than we hold people. Like, I will rob you for your gold chain. Why? Because your life means nothing to me, but that gold chain does, right? I will sell this crack to you for the money, because whether or not you become addicted and become poor and neglect your family, I don't care. What I care about is the tangible property. So black people were important enough to not have them be put in places where they're just breathing bird shit all day. So guess who else we turn to then in the place of black people? Were the Chinese. And so what happened was, when the Chinese started coming to America and we started going over there saying, we need all of you guys to work and you can come to America. And of course, like most immigrants, they're like, yay, we're going to sign up. They said, okay, sign up here. We're going to send you to San Francisco because we're building these trains and we need people to lay these tracks, and you guys are very industrious workers, and you can come to America, make a lot of money, and send it back to your family. So sign here. Great. They would sign, get on a boat, and there'd be two boats, right? Two boats of Chinese immigrant workers, and they'd get like halfway here, and they'd start going in different directions. One boat actually made it to San Francisco. The other boat went to a bird shit island, and they were like, welcome to the Americas. And so you had this glutton for bird shit that was supplied by a lot of Chinese workers who thought that they were coming to San Francisco. So as many people, so it's interesting, like, we didn't want the Chinese to get here, although we appreciated that they laid down the railroads and they established laundries. We appreciated that, but we don't realize that they're actually probably more than half, 50% that were supposed to come here that got waylaid and put on these islands to load up bird shit. One of the interesting residuals of this was that more than likely it was a load of bad bird shit that caused the blight that happened in Ireland that then killed the potatoes. And so the potato famine more than likely was a consequence of bacteria that was in the bird shit that once it got to Ireland, it just ran rampant and killed the potatoes. And then we had this famine. Then we had the influx of Irish workers. And now we got McGregor's pubs and all that all across the country because of bird shit. So an interesting effect, some of the Columbian exchange stuff. So that's our little history thing today. Another thing Adrian that brought up, this is something I didn't actually talk to him. I don't commented DT. But there was an interesting question that Adrian asked, and I wanted to talk about it because I contemplated it a little bit. I wanted to throw it out there for you guys. He asked a question: are drug dealers and gang members coons? And I thought that was a very philosophically interesting question because I contemplated it a little bit. And of course, we got to first begin with what is a coon, right? Like, what is a coon? And there are a couple of definitions. I think we generally agree on. Like, it also, first of all, it depends on who's saying it. Like, if a white person calls you a coon, he's not saying the same thing that a black person is when he calls a person a coon, right? Because when a white person, if I say that person is a coon, I'm referring to someone who's like sort of an ignorant person of color who is also like a detriment to the race, right? So obviously, a white person who calls a person a coon is not saying that like you're a detriment to your race. Like, doesn't make sense. It's a nonsensical idea, right? So coon, depending on who said, like, if a white person says coon, he's saying nigger. That's basically what he's saying. So generally, when we say or I say coon, I'm talking about someone who is oblivious to oblivious to racism and discrimination, and also oblivious to self-hatred. And then in that oblivion is endeavoring to benefit in some way, shape, or form, right? So a person, because you can be oblivious, right, and ignorant, but if you're then, so we use the house nigger sort of, or the house slave. You know, the person moves into the house and uses his position in the house or in the plantation house as a benefit. Like, I'm in the house and you're out in the field. Whereas somebody out in the field could be oblivious and not necessarily the coon, right? So there's those elements of you're benefiting. Like, Stacey Dash is a coon, right? Like it's clear because I don't know how. Let's just say she's oblivious, right? I don't understand how, but she's used those ideas and her political affiliation and affinity to promote herself. That's the part that makes her a coon, because she's performing, right? Omarosa is a coon. Someone like Ray Lewis or Michael Vick, I would say, are coonish, right? Lil Wayne, coonish, because I don't know if they necessarily use that to promote themselves. They were already in a position where they had been promoted to then espouse these ideas that were coonish, right? My ex-wife is a coon, right? because there's also that insidious sort of self-hatred that then becomes a victimization. So like the slave, on the plantation, slave masters weren't the ones necessarily whipping the slaves. They would get other slaves and be like, okay, you're in charge, and I'm going to hold you accountable for the slaves, and if they mess up, you got to punish them. So in a lot of cases, the person whipping the slave was the same color. That's a coon as well, right? That's a coon especially. And so people who victimize other people, like in my case, my ex who like straight lied, right? And continually lied, and those lies led to me going to prison. That's a coon. Her flying monkey friends, they're coons, because ultimately, when you support that, you support a self-hatred and a self-victimization, then you are a coon. And so, in light of the question that Adrian asked, is a drug dealer or a gang member a coon? There, in my opinion, this is my opinion. I want to know you guys'. For the most part, there is an argument to be made that the answer is yes. Now, let me throw something out to you guys. This is an idea that came to me as I contemplated this. Because someone said, no, they're victims. And I think I understand that position. The reality is, if you're born in America to black parents, there is a high percentage, a high probability that you're going to be poor. Just because you're born to black parents. Because America is made up of the stuff that says black people are poor. Like, it's American that minorities, especially black folks, are poor. And it's rare that they're not. Just that simple. And that is the way America has operated, because at some point they weren't even poor. They just had nothing. Okay. So right now, the chances are that you're going to be born to poor parents, and in an environment where the choices that you have for survival, not just living, but the choices that you have to live from day to day are going to be much different than choices of people who are not poor. You're not going to have the same type of education or the resources for education. You're not going to have the same resources for jobs, both of which you need in order to establish self-subsistence. So you're already disadvantaged just by being born, and you haven't even done anything. So the choices that are going to be presented to you are going to be different, as well as your environment. You're going to be around more crime, and you're going to be around more things that the economic opportunities that are going to be presented to you are going to be criminal. You're going to learn to steal. You're going to learn to rob. You're going to learn to sell drugs, because those are the things that people are doing. Because, look, drug dealers are not bad in the sense of they want to sell drugs. If you gave a drug dealer a crack rock and a marble, and you said that you can sell both of these things for $20, most more chances than not, that person is going to pick the marble, because they understand what crack does. It's a poison. But if I can sell a marble for the same thing, hey, people like to play marbles, I'm going to sell a marble. That's why you see so many drug dealers moving out of drugs into like real estate or whatever it is, right? But the choices that they're going to be presented with, more than not, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be crack and not marbles. So, and that's because of the circumstance that they are in, for the most part. Now, the law doesn't care that you're not going to make a good argument for the judge and be like, look, I was born black, so give me a break on this crack conviction. Give me a break. You can't really make that argument. And I'm not saying it's not a bad argument, but it's just not one that's going to really go over very well, right? And the reason why it doesn't go over is because of morals. There's always a question of morals. And that's where coonism, that's the crux of coonism, is the morals. Um, so Nia makes a point. But aren't they in fear that master will whip them if they don't whip the other slaves? Yeah, there is a fear. There is a fear for the slave that has to whip other slaves. There is a fear, and that drives coonism, right? Let me give you so let me use these examples that I came up with, and I mentioned them on Facebook. There are two people in the pop cultural sense that we could point out, and there's many, but there's at least two people that we can point out as the epitome of coonism in a popular culture sense and entertainment promotion. One of them is Hattie McDaniel, the other is Lincoln Perry. Hattie McDaniel, of course, is known for being the first black woman and black person to win a Academy Award, and she won it for playing the Mammy character in Gone with the Wind. And she has played other Mammy characters in other movies. And Lincoln Perry is AKA Stepin Fetchit, who again played this bumbling coon ass nigger in various movies. Now, if you look at let's look at that character, or at least Stepin Fetchit. There's an interesting thing about Stepin Fetchit. The interesting thing about Stepin Fetchit is while he's the bumbling, ignorant, lazy, shuffling Negro, right? There is there's a reason for that, right? There's a method to that madness. Because if you were a slave, one of the ways that you rebelled was you acted lazy, right? You acted lazy so that the master was frustrated. And you then didn't do a lot of work, right? You left the tools out, and you were the no good, forgetful slave who left the tools out. But you left the tools out so they could rust, so that they could break, so that then the dude would have to you didn't have to work, and he would have to spend more money, right? Now, this is carried over into the caricature of black people as no good and lazy, and this is a caricature that we perpetuate even amongst ourselves. We're no good, lazy ass nigga, right? That comes from that Stepin Fetchit, like go ask him to go do something, and he goes back, does it, like go get me a glass of water, Stepin Fetchit, and he comes back with the water in his hand and said, I couldn't find the glass. That type of stuff, right? But it was rebellious. Ultimately, there's a spirit of rebellion in that, and we know that that's what slaves did. For the most part, they weren't as acquiescent and compliant as we really think. There was a lot of subtle rebellion among slaves, and there always is. Same thing among prisoners, because they're the new slaves. You go to prison, there is a rebellion. There are men and women who are fighting for their humanity in the most inhumane circumstances, and they do stuff that drives correctional officers crazy. But they're doing it because it's a rebellion. It's a fight. So that's one thing. Hattie McDaniel, and both of these guys have had to deal with the question of what do you say about being a coon and having benefited from being a coon. Hattie McDaniel said, and we got to, we have to think. We have to remember. You have to remember timeline, right? So Hattie died in 1950. She was born at the turn of the century, right? Okay, so Hattie Hattie McDaniels won an award. She won her Oscar in 1940. Okay, so we're talking about the 30s. So we already know this is pre civil rights. You're kind of in between, like the lynching is just kind of tailing off. Like we know at the beginning, like right at the turn of the century, from the time of the Reconstruction to at least the like 1925, we were just hung. Right, that was the reaction of white America to black freedom was we just hang them. Okay, that they do anything wrong, they look wrong, they want to vote, they try to if they try to um, epitomize any type of humanity, we're gonna hang them. And ergo, the idea and the song "Strange Few." So women, black women, as they entered into the workforce, they only worked one place, and that was cleaning toilets. So Hattie McDaniel said, "I can either be a maid and make pennies on the dollar, or I can play one and make thousands." You got to imagine, in the 30s, thousands of dollars was hundreds of thousands of dollars today. So there was some, again, for that moral question of survival. Yeah, I'm a coon, but that was my rebellion. And it clearly was rebellion. Lincoln Perry made money being Stepin Fetchit to the degree that, like, Jay-Z makes money. That was Lincoln Perry back in the day. I mean, he had a Cadillac that it was still legendary, right? So he was rich. He got rich off of this. It was clear for him. I'm going to use this money to get rich and be something that most black people are not, because they can't be in this country. So there's that sort of issue of coonism. And so I compared Lincoln Perry to Jay-Z. I see a lot of parallels between Lincoln Perry being Stepin Fetchit and benefiting from this, to Jay-Z being a drug dealer in Marcy Projects and building up a bunch of money, starting a record label, and then becoming, the shit right now. There is no difference. There's no difference. Hell, there's such a parallel. Lincoln Perry, then, he hung out with Muhammad Ali and converted to Islam through the Nation of Islam. And if you read, or if you listened to Family Feud, hear the references, the Arabic, Islamic references that Jay-Z's making. Now, I'm not saying he's converting or anything like that, but I'm just throwing it out there. Interesting parallels. There is a case to be made that drug dealers and gang members are coons. And we can look at it and say, nah, they're just doing what naturally comes when you are black and born poor in America. But not everybody that's black and poor becomes a drug dealer, right? I mean, that's a reality. Not everybody's a drug dealer. Not everybody's a gang member. Hell, I was a gang member and didn't sell drugs. So then that's where the issue of morality comes in, right? You don't have to necessarily Stepin Fetchit, and you don't have to play the mammy. It may mean that you're not going to get rich, right? And drive that Cadillac or buy title. So the ends, there's a question of, do the ends justify the means? Is Jay-Z an inspirational enough figure right now? Or is he just bougie? Is he just somebody that made it and he's bougie? when he bought Title, when he bought Title, I was clear that he's bougie. He's just bougie. And it's interesting because I took his, you know, I took sort of his advice to heart, where he was like, you're gonna pay $10 for me to give you this game, um, to make more money. The game I'm selling is to make more money, and I'm gonna charge you $10 for it. And I was like, I'm not even paying that. Like, I can download your stuff for free, homie. Right? So I don't know. So to your question, I say, yeah. Are there advantages in being? Oh, of course. Yeah, there are absolute. Nia asked, are there advantages to being a coon? As that's part of their survival. Of course there are advantages. Of course. Absolutely there are advantages. But I'm going to end this part with 2 words. Harriet Tubman. That is a paradigm. I'm working on this idea that I in my mind, I've called it the Tubman paradigm. The Tubman paradigm is where you shift to when you're faced with the choices of compliance or coonism. The other choice is escape. So I'm going to leave that there. I'm going to leave y'all hanging. I'm going to suspend you with that. The Tubman paradigm, working on. It's going to be part of a book that I write. A couple essays that I write. I established it with the idea of criminal justice and mass incarceration. That for us, Black people, can't wait for criminal justice and incarceration reform. It's going to happen, but we don't have to wait, and we shouldn't, in the same way that Harriet didn't wait for Martin Luther King, right? It just left. So anyway, moving on. So thanks, Adrian, for those questions, although you didn't know that you did that. Thank you, sis. Who else is on here? Tarek. What's up? Assalamu alaikum. Ronnie, what's going on, famo? Tasha, what's up, sis? Good seeing you. All right. Yo, Erykah Badu. Yo, what are you doing, mama? First of all, I love Erykah Badu. It was, and I got some personal background stuff where, like, I maybe one day we'll get into why I have such an affinity for her. I can't talk about it now because it's not, it just doesn't go. It doesn't go yet. It doesn't go yet with the story. But I got mad love for Erykah Badu. Mad love. But she's testing me. She's testing me, Z-Rock. She's making it hard in the yard. Because she be on some stuff, man. Like, she's difficult. And I think that's why I love her. I love her because she, in a lot of ways, I drag my ex, but I'm also a realist and I'm honest. Like, there were things about my ex that made me want to marry her. And one of the things is she was difficult, right? Like, she was a challenge. Erykah is that challenge, man, because she's all woman. She's beautiful. She's talented. She's dope in so many ways. Just ridiculously sexy. I would make her my baby's mama in a heartbeat. But she is a challenge, yo. And that's what makes her, I think, attractive. But challenge in a way like my ex is, in a disappointing way. Like, it's where you gotta be like, yeah, I'd make her my baby's mama, but I'd have to sue for custody. So, like, the last time she really got on my nerves was when she didn't get on my nerves. So I take that back. That's wrong. But she made some controversies about, like, women, like girls in skirts and things like that. I don't know if she made them very well, but I was okay with that. I appreciate it. And it created some controversy. I was all right with it. But then she had this interview recently where she was talking about, like, how she sees good in people. And I understand why she made this comment, in the sense of the challenge about when we say stuff about seeing the good in people or being forgiving is that these are absolutes, and we don't deal with them in absolutes. We want to be forgiving when it's convenient. We want to look for good in people when it can benefit us. But the true reality about these things is dealing with them in absolutes. So I think that that's where she was going. But she made the mistake. She made the mistake by citing Hitler as somebody that she sees good in. She's like, I see good in everybody. Take Hitler, for example. And it was funny because the interviewer was like, wait, what the hell are you talking about? And so she tried to clean it up for you. She was like, oh, go ahead, hit me, Adrian. She was like, well, he's a good painter. And even the interviewer was like, wait. One, he wasn't even that good of a painter. But what the hell, how's that good? And so she's got backlash about her Hitler comments. And rightfully so. She messed up, right? Like, she screwed up with this one. That's why I'm like, she's just making it hard for me, yo. She screwed up with this. Because there is a consensus. Like, there's a begrudging consensus for certain things. Like, for example, there's a begrudging consensus that the word anti-Semitism means anti-Jewish. Although a Semitic person is also an Arab, right? Like, Arabs are Semitic. But we have somehow reached the consensus that when we say anti-Semitic, mean anti-Jewish, which I think is totally like ethnocentric and almost racist, right? You're just going to take the whole peoples and make it yourself, okay? So, like, an Arab person can be anti-Jewish, but not anti-Semitic because he's a Semitic. But anyway, so one of the consensuses that I agree with, not begrudgingly, is that you can't talk about Hitler in a good light. Like, there's nothing, like, you can try, and I get that people want to attempt to portray Hitler in a sympathetic role, but no. Like, the reason why he had his mustache is because he got caught in the mustard gas, attack and blah, 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 blah. And these things drove his patriotism and blah, whatever, dude. And the fact that he's a good painter was like, I told somebody that Erykah Badu grocery shopped Hitler, and I think they didn't understand what I was saying. But you can't, like, there are a lot of things you can pick about Hitler to try to say that he has good in him, but the painter thing, like, no. Like, that's not good or bad or evil. It just means that he was talented, but that doesn't mean, he was a talented speaker. And so that's where she like failed, and she knew she failed because she was like, well, yeah, maybe, good and painter really don't even go together with Hitler. He wasn't really that good of a painter. He was okay, but his painting sells because of the notoriety, not because he was a good painter. So she kind of messed up. She messed up there, but it brought up this idea in a philosophical argument about looking for the good in people and looking at them as a whole person. And I'm like, yeah, but look, the reality is when you talk about Hitler, you can't balance out his artistic creativity with his megalomania and his genocide. Like, there's no balance there. One outweighs the other. Hitler is not the good painter who killed a bunch of Jews. I don't even look at him as the painter who killed a bunch of Jews any more than I look at him as the author who killed a bunch of Jews, or the patriot, because his patriotism, I understand. And it was, the idea of German patriotism was there before Hitler came into power. They needed to come out. Their money was trash, literally. Like trash. Firewood. That's what their money was. You bundle it up and you set it on fire to warm your house. That's how bad the economy was after World War I for Germany. So I get that. But your patriotism should never lead to putting people in the gas chamber or turning their skins into lampshades. That should never, ever happen. That's not patriotism. That's murder. and that's evil. And your ability to paint a picture, yeah, that's no, Erica, you messing up, yo, messing up. I get it. I feel like it, and am I wrong to feel like this is just opportunistic for her? Like the last time she started in controversy, she got to host the Soul Train Awards. So now what? You want to have a daytime talk show? Like I don't know. I'm just, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm just being cynical. I'm being cynical, Z-Rock. I get it, but you messing up, man. Somebody get my girl, man. Like somebody get my girl, man. I need to just like get her impregnated so she can just worry about having a baby. I need to have a baby. I need to like. I'm gonna sound like an asshole right now. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna sound like an asshole right now, but I really, man, my clock is ticking, Z-Rock. It's ticking, and I'm not trying to get married. I'm not trying to have a long-term relationship. I'm just trying to have a baby. I just need to rent a womb. And I'm talking about like have the baby and take it. Like I can raise a kid. I'm known for that. I'll raise a kid. Hell, I'll raise joints that ain't even mine. I just need. I feel it, man. I don't know what it is. I'm not even wearing my watch today because the ticking reminds me of what's going on in the loins. I just gotta be picky because I can't just have any old baby mama, man. Oh yeah. I can't just have any old baby's mama. She gotta spell good. If she can't spell, you can't. If you can't spell good, you can't be my baby's mama. That's yeah, smell good too. Yes, yeah. You gotta have good. You gotta have good hygiene, but you gotta be able to, gotta be able to spell and read a book. Um, 50 Cent. As you come back to him, we'll end with him. I want to give a shout out to LeBron James, who hit the 30,000 point mark earlier this week. One yeah, Red Womb. Valentes, what's up, man? Valentes, the big boss, is watching. Bethany, what's up? Nora, what's up, sis? Debbie, John, assalamu alaikum. Hey, so LeBron James hit the 30,000 points mark as one of 7. I think he's one of 7 who have done that before him. So that's an accomplishment. It actually was a quiet accomplishment because the bigger news is the All-Star game where they're not doing East and West. They're doing team, pick team. So it's actually LeBron's team versus Steph Curry's team. And it looks like with the picks, man, like I got to go with Team LeBron on this one. But anyway, LeBron James joins my man Kareem. Mad blessings to him. My man Karl Malone, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, of course. I didn't realize that Kobe actually scored more points than Michael. But then again, when I think about it, yeah, that makes sense. Wilt, of course. And somebody I'm surprised. Who do you think is the white person? Because the other person who scored 30,000 points and without giving too much away and not letting you Google, who do you think is the white person on this list? Nope. White person, the one lone white person who has scored 30,000 points in their career. Pistol Pete? Nope. Not a bad pick, though. Not a bad pick. I love Pistol Pete. Yeah, just hang in there, sis. So the one lone white person on the list, Dirk Nowitzki, who's still scoring. He's got 30,808 points, and he's still playing. So that dude is a scoring machine as of the 23rd of January. So yeah. So shout out to Dirk Nowitzki for being one of 7 people who have scored 30,000 points. All right, Team LeBron versus Team Steph Curry. So the starting, I'm trying to remember the starting lineup. Starting lineup for LeBron James. I know it's LeBron. It's Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and I want to say Boogie Cousins. If I remember right. That is a squad, yo. I don't care who Steph Curry puts together right now. Don't even matter. You can't mess with that squad. I don't even know who's coming off the bench for him. But that squad right there, yeah. That's not happened. Okay, Team LeBron is LaMarcus Aldridge, Bradley Beal, DeMarcus Cousins, Anthony Davis, the Brow, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Love, Victor Oladipo, Porzingis, John Wall, Russell Westbrook. Who's gonna beat that squad? Team Stephen is Giannis Antetokounmpo, Jimmy Butler, DeMar DeRozan, Joel Embiid, Draymond Green, James Harden, Al Horford, Damian Lillard, Kyle Lowry, Klay Thompson, Karl Anthony Towns. They have no chance in hell. No. I'm telling you, Z-Rock, you're tripping right now. You're tripping. You're off your meds. You're tripping. All right. Heard it here first. It's going to be 100-47 in that game. All right, last thing we're going to talk about before we get out of here. So I've been saving up money. Most of you guys know I've been saving up money. And I'm almost, so I have a bunch of ones, right? I haven't counted them yet. But I'm waiting to fill up this last Pringle can of change. So I have right now 2 and almost 3 Pringle cans of change. So I've been saving my change, and at the end of the day, whatever one's in my pocket, I've been throwing them in my mattress, right? And so I'm gonna count them, but I'm waiting to get this last Pringle can. Because here's my thing, I'm gonna take you guys with me. So I want you guys to ride with me on this. Whatever amount money it is, it might be just $47. I'm going to take that $47 and I'm going to invest it. And I'm going to invest it. I'm going to diversify my bonds, right? I'm going to buy some Bitcoin. Got my brother Gary Flakes, who's already in the Bitcoin game. Mad shout out and salams to him. He's in the Bitcoin game. He's just waiting for me, and I'm about to step over that threshold. And I'm going to also, because there's some new cryptocurrency. That's really what I want to use them for. And then I'm also going to use. I'm going to try some of the smaller, there's a couple of apps that you can use to invest as much as like $50, right? So I'm going to take however much that money is, and I'm going to diversify it. And I want you guys, I'm going to keep you guys updated. I'm going to get your tips and your pointers, and we're going to grow this little nest egg. And because I want to show, the intent of this is to show that anybody can do this. I've been saving my pocket change for now a year and a month now, okay? And so if I can do it, then anyone can. So we're going to have that journey, okay? So we're going to make that's going to be one of our sort of recurring segments on the Hot Button Show, okay? And I'm going to, however much information I come across, I'm going to share it with you guys. And like I said, we're going to exchange it, and we're going to encourage ourselves, each other, to save and invest. Because I'm about to retire in about 60 years, because I'm only 28. But, when you retire, you're not making money, but you still got bills, right? Okay. But I brought all that to say, my man 50 Cent. First of all, I love 50 Cent, okay? Go see the movie Den of Thieves. His part in it is quiet, so it ain't really a 50 Cent movie. It's an all right movie. It's worth going to go see. I wouldn't re-go see it, right? I made that up, re-go. I wouldn't re-go see it, but it's okay movie. But I got mad, and I'm biased because I've done actual security for 50 Cent when we did the White Party, one of the best events of all of last year in Denver, Colorado, if not the best. I opportunity and the privilege to hold down security for him, and we chopped it up. And I just, you know, I just ended. I mad respect for this dude for a lot of reasons. One is he is definitely pro black business. I'll tell you that right now. And he, yeah. Anyway, um, this dude. So one of his, I'm trying to remember a hit record off of it, but I'm not sure. And to be honest, you know, he hasn't like lived up to the hype of his first album. To be honest. Um, but there was an album he put out in 2014, and what he did was he included the option to buy the album using Bitcoin. So you could purchase his album using Bitcoin. And in order to do that, you just set up an account and you allow people to use their Bitcoin to purchase your album. Now, the funny thing is, what he also obviously sold it for regular money, if we're gonna call it that. And you know, forgot all about that he had set up this Bitcoin account and counted the money, you know, that he got in the fiat money, and counted all that money and moved on and left this account, this Bitcoin account, sitting there where people had made purchases of his album for the Bitcoin. 4 years later, he was reminded, oh, you got this money sitting there that people paid for your album, and you might want to see how much it costs. I think at the time, the amount of money that he was able to accumulate was about $400,000 in sales. That $400,000 of Bitcoin in 4 years turned into between $7.5 to $8.25 million, where he's just sitting there. That's a good problem to have. That type of forgetfulness, where you're just sitting on $8 million. Like, that's amazing. So, but also the power of, you know, there's a lot of I won't say controversy, but a lot of talk, a lot of chatter about Bitcoin lately, because it was high, and then it's, you know, it was, oh my God, dude, this is an amazing thing. And then of course, after everybody started talking about it, it dipped, and everybody's like, yeah, see, it's gonna fail. But this stuff's been around for years. It's been around for years. So we're gonna make a foray into that world. But we're gonna do it from like the everyday brother type of standpoint. Because I know it's easy, but I wanna do it in a way that everybody can see, and we're gonna take a journey together and make it easy. Because at the end of the day, you gotta make your own way, right? We can either be workers or we can be bosses. And I'm too lazy to be a worker. I promise you that. So, Adrian, I got your question. Are men supposed to be feminists or womanists? I got you. Good question. I'm gonna have an interesting conversation. I saw that question earlier, so I'm gonna have an interesting conversation with my little brother. I always have these conversations with my little brother because really one of the rare people. He's almost as smart as me. So that, you know, maybe a few people in the world that are like that. So, my little brother. That's why he's not as smart. I raised his ass. So, guys, shout out to my brother Kenneth. Not too many people know that's my brother, man, but brother Kenneth Drew. That's all right. So I am out of here. I gotta go. Get ready to work. You guys meet me down at Purple Martini tonight. Come crispy. I'm gonna come crispy. I think I'm gonna wear black and purple, man. I'm wearing my purple bow tie tonight. But come out. Whatever you do tonight, make sure you guys have a good time and a safe time. The weather's gonna be good at least all week, so gonna definitely enjoy the heck out of that. So I'm gonna leave you guys with what I always leave with you. I believe my own personal philosophy is that our job as people in this world is a duty imparted to us by God Himself. It's elevation, and elevation to perfection, which means you got to do better. Take the things that He gives us, because He gives us everything, and just do better with them. Whether it's one small step, one small gesture, one small tweak, one small improvement, I think that you should always better and move towards Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam always told us, don't let your days be repetitive. Your today should always be better than yesterday, meaning you can always do something better and whatever it is that you have. So I hope that's a reminder first for myself and guys have a better Friday than it was last Friday, a better Friday than your Thursday was. I hope you have a better weekend than last weekend. I hope you treat yourselves better than what you treated yourself 15 minutes ago, and treat somebody else better for sure. Sure, somebody else better than you treated them before. So with that, I'm out of here on behalf of myself and my man Z-Rock in the building, on behalf of the Dayton Street Opportunity Center, and everybody else out there, all of you guys that are listening and checking me out. Mad appreciating for you guys. I'm out of here. You guys have a safe week, and we'll get together again. This is Hot Button on the DSOC Broadcast Network. Peaceful.
A little story I got to tell about crooked politicians that we know so well. I told y'all once, I told y'all twice, I'ma keep telling y'all to the end of the night. Cause the whole world's ready to exhale, the whole world's ready to rebel. Tell your homies on the block, hit the streets from Tunisia to Brazil, cause the rich just rather steal. Most times I chill nonchalant, but it's time to fight back like my name was Tucson. I'm just being honest, I'm sick of the nonsense. Who owns this earth to keep up with the Joneses? Cause they corrupt as hell and we know that. It ain't hard to kill it, don't take much to show that. Decker said, it's like a slap in the face. Got the whole entire world screaming, that's the bricks. Just get up on man, can you get up on man? We gotta get up on man, you gotta get up on man, so just get up on man, can you get up on man? We gotta get up on man, you gotta get up on man. A few years ago, a friend of mine told me to fight for my right to rhyme. Gonna free my kind and see why crime really exists. I gotta keep my mind sharp, sharper than a Ginsu knife. Lift you right up out of this shit you like. Maybe it's a whole new world, a whole new ball game. I'll show you, girl. Can't stop the rock, won't stop the rock. Sucker MCs need to get off the jock, cause the rich get richer while the poor stay poor. So why you all worried like a Georgia Porch? Kissed all the girls and made them all cry in the oldest profession just to get by. While our baby stay stuck in development stage, navigating through the city's one hell of a maze. So just get up on man, can you get up on man? We gotta get up on man, you gotta get up on man. So just get up on man, can you get up on man? We gotta get up on man, you gotta get up on man. They sitting back laughing as we go to war and don't care about killers if it's poor on poor. Living in a mansion, making cheddar the Lord. Too busy trying to be like them to settle the score. I can glamorize it and the bling I got, but when he criticized it, Dr. King got shot in the face. Bitter taste, said it left in the place. Hit the brakes cause we sick of the maze. Yo, enough is enough. Don't got much now. The American dream just means get locked up. Perfect example how to rob and steal. It's fractional bacon, it's got us all ill. Even if it goes right over your head, it's still in the pocket that got rights over your